So what happens when Stephen A. Smith walks into The View and drops truth bombs that no one saw coming? Well, Sonny Hostin found out the hard way, and trust me, it wasn't pretty. From fiery debates about political parties to bold takes on transgender athletes in sports, Stephen A. held nothing back. He called out media narratives, broke down stereotypes, and even uncovered the real reasons behind Latino voting trends, all while Sonny tried to challenge him at every turn. But was she able to hold her ground? Or did Stephen A. just expose some uncomfortable truths? Let's dive into the showdown that left everyone talking.
I think the Republicans are sort of an extreme fringe party.
No, I don't think that they're an extreme fringe party. I think that they're operating against those they believe are extreme on the left. Like, for example, when you talk about the LGBTQ community, I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. Mm-hmm. I'm fiscal with my dollars. I ain't apologizing for not wanting to pay high taxes to anybody. I'm not apologizing for that, right? But outside of that, I'm pretty liberal. Live and let live, okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you had folks on the left that were introducing some things when we got in the whole transgender issue, and they were talking about bathrooms, or they were talking about males transitioning to females and competing against girls in sports and stuff like that.
These are less than 1% of the population.
I understand that,
but you know what?
But I think that's where the mistake is made.
Yeah,
you're saying it's ridiculous. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
But most of the voters out there don't think like that.
But that means they don't have the information.
Okay, but 90% of the voters don't have the information. If you're out there busting your tail to make ends meet and to pay your bills, and you're going to work every day, and you got a family to take care of, and you're in New York City, you're getting stuck 2 hours of your day, you're stuck in traffic. You understand? You got a whole bunch of stuff to go through. You don't have time to know what you and I know.
Maybe you need to listen to the news when you're in traffic.
Well, again,
maybe
I agree
not
with that.
Be uninformed.
Or you listen to stuff that's going to take you away from the things that brings down your spirit. Yeah. And that's unfortunately what most voters are doing. You are the left. You leaned and you were a prisoner to the extreme left in a lot of people's eyes. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Most of America doesn't operate on the fringes. Whether you're left or you're right, you're relatively centrist. You believe in compromise, negotiation, working with one another. Nobody gets to get everything they want. The problem is those on the fringes continuously push for you to get everything you want.
Yeah.
They're not about getting things done. They're about getting their way. And if they're not going to get their way, they're about complaining and griping about it, because they understand that when you are operating based off of grievance, that's usually what provokes you to get to the polls. And that is why they don't mind feeling aggrieved and displaying and disseminating that kind of message, because they know people are going to gravitate to that. And as a result, that might get them to the polls, you thinking you're going to get what you want as a result of it.
Stephen A. Smith, widely known for his bold and energetic commentary on ESPN, recently appeared on The View, and his presence sparked a lively and intense discussion. True to his reputation, Stephen A. didn't shy away from sharing his unfiltered opinions, which quickly transformed the conversation into a memorable showdown. The discussion kicked off with politically charged topics, a staple on The View, but soon veered into unfamiliar territory. Stephen A. introduced a perspective not often heard on the show, particularly when it came to his views on the Republican Party and its portrayal. This created a notable contrast with co-host Sonny Hostin's expectations. Sonny, always direct and assertive, seemed confident that Stephen's background would align with her perspective, especially when discussing what she labelled as extreme political parties. However, Stephen A. surprised her by immediately challenging that notion. He dismissed the idea that the Republican Party represents an extremist fringe, a bold and pointed response that shifted the dynamic of the conversation. This unexpected challenge set the stage for an engaging exchange of ideas, one that captivated viewers as Stephen A. maintained his composure while firmly standing his ground. Stephen A. didn't hesitate to tackle how the oversimplification of political affiliations often leads to misconceptions. He highlighted how diverse and nuanced political landscapes are, urging a break from outdated assumptions about people's viewpoints based solely on their backgrounds. This kind of thinking, as he put it, is not just presumptuous, but also a barrier to meaningful dialogue. Shifting gears, Stephen A. reflected on his professional life, particularly the balance he maintains as someone working within organisations like ESPN and Disney, which are often seen as leaning liberal. Despite this, he made it clear that his guiding principle is common sense above all. Operating within a predominantly liberal media space comes with its challenges, but Stephen A. boldly walks the line without compromising his values. What stood out was Stephen A.'s unique political identity. He's a fiscal conservative and a social liberal. While this combination isn't entirely unheard of, it doesn't often get a spotlight in mainstream conversations. For Stephen A., it's about valuing financial responsibility and keeping taxes low, something many can relate to, while embracing a live and let live philosophy when it comes to social issues. This balance, however, set the stage for more heated discussions. Stephen A.'s ability to articulate these views with clarity and conviction showed his commitment to nuanced, independent thinking, challenging the polarized narratives that often dominate such platforms. Stephen A. Smith tackled the controversial topic of LGBTQ and transgender athletes with his trademark candor. He highlighted the complexities and contentious nature of the debate, particularly regarding how policies surrounding transgender participation in sports are sparking widespread concern. For him, it's not just about a small, isolated group, it's about fairness in competition and the broader implications for athletic integrity. Stephen A. emphasised that this isn't a fringe issue. It's one that resonates deeply with both athletes and parents. He framed it as a legitimate concern, not something to be dismissed or trivialised, prompting viewers to reflect on how fairness should be balanced with inclusivity. As the discussion heated up, Sunny Hostin jumped in with her sharp rebuttal, dismissing the topic as absurd. Her tone, bordering on dismissive, contrasted sharply with Stephen A.'s more measured approach. He pushed back firmly, emphasising that brushing off such concerns only alienates people who are already grappling with these issues in their daily lives. For Stephen, the key was to engage with these topics thoughtfully rather than ignore them outright. He also tackled the common critique about voters being uninformed, addressing the argument that many don't read enough or fail to engage with political issues deeply. But Stephen flipped this argument, acknowledging the reality of everyday life for most people. He pointed out that for many, the constant grind of work, family, and other obligations leaves little time to dive into the complexities of political discourse. His perspective was refreshingly empathetic, recognizing that while staying informed is crucial, it's not always feasible for everyone. Acknowledging the daily struggles of ordinary voters added a relatable and human touch to his argument. By bridging the gap between high-level discourse and real-world challenges, Stephen A. made it clear that engaging in these discussions requires understanding and patience, not dismissal or judgment. Stephen A. didn't hold back when responding to Sunny Hostin's suggestion that people stay informed by tuning into the news during traffic jams. While the idea may seem practical on the surface, Stephen offered a dose of realism. He pointed out that staying informed isn't as simple as flipping the channel, because the media isn't a neutral space. Bias is everywhere, and finding balanced reporting can feel like navigating a minefield. Stephen also pivoted to what he believes are the true priorities for many voters, their day-to-day struggles. He emphasised that for most people, the rising cost of living, things like gas prices, rent and mortgages, trumps broader ideological debates. These are the issues that hit hardest, directly affecting people's lives. In Stephen's view, expecting voters to prioritise lofty political ideals over the economic realities they face every day is out of touch with the average person's experience. From there, the conversation took an intriguing turn as it delved into Hispanic voting trends, a topic that left Sunny somewhat perplexed. She was especially curious about why a notable number of Latino men supported Trump, and she quickly brought up the issue of illegal immigration. Stephen, however, calmly dismantled her assumption. He explained that treating any ethnic group as a monolith is a flawed and oversimplified approach. Latino communities, like all groups, are incredibly diverse, with varied experiences, priorities, and perspectives. Cuban voters may have different concerns than Mexican or Puerto Rican voters, shaped by their unique histories and socio-political contexts. Stephen underscores that diversity within communities is something that must be acknowledged and respected. rather than glossed over with sweeping generalizations. By highlighting this complexity, Stephen made it clear that political preferences can't be boiled down to a single issue or assumption. People vote based on a range of factors that are deeply personal and tied to their individual and community experiences. This nuanced take shifted the discussion from stereotypes to a broader understanding of how diverse opinions exist within every group. Stephen A. Smith drove home the point that people aren't just static talking points to be argued over. They are complex individuals with a multitude of experiences and perspectives that shape their opinions. He emphasized how simplifying these complexities for the sake of media narratives is both misleading and damaging. Media outlets often package stories into easy-to-digest sound bites, but in doing so, they ignore the nuances of real life, nuances that voters are more than capable of understanding. The oversimplification of these issues, he argued, not only insults the intelligence of the public, but leads to a lack of genuine understanding about what truly matters to people. As Stephen laid out, the media's obsession with narratives can cloud the truth, but what really stands out is how political parties fail to recognize the shift in the electorate. He pointed out how the extreme ends of the political spectrum have left traditional liberals and centrists feeling alienated. This is a critical point because it shows a political landscape where voters feel pushed to the margins, stuck between two extreme ideologies and missing out on candidates who understand their real-world struggles. The point he made about people voting with their wallets, concern with issues like the cost of living and personal safety, resonates strongly. Political rhetoric is one thing, but the immediate concerns of day-to-day life are far more influential in how people cast their votes. Stephen also called out the need for both political parties to cater to a wider range of voters, not just the loudest voices from the extremes. He painted a vision of a more inclusive political system, one where every voter, regardless of their ideological leanings, feels heard and understood. This is particularly important in today's rapidly evolving political climate, where addressing the needs of all voters is paramount to winning their support. You know, it's your turn to weigh in. Do you agree with Stephen A. Smith's view that media narratives oversimplify complex issues and that voters care more about their immediate realities than ideological debates? Or do you side more with Sonny's take on the importance of staying informed and engaging in political conversations? Let us know in the comments. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. And if this conversation sparks something in you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more updates on discussions just like this one.